Hey everybody, welcome on our channel. In this video we are gonna see, what if Naruto got mass harem with every anime verse? Part 2. If you are new on the channel, don't forget to subscribe our channel and like the video too. So without wasting any more time, let's start the story. 2 weeks had passed since Naruto stopped the coup d'etat, and things around Konoha have become somewhat uneasy now with so many deaths going on, as the village was unable found out of who or what has been doing the killing, and they still don't know what this demon that lives in the forest of death looks like, and because of it, parents are telling their children about this demon and what it will do toward those who are bad, and they will be taken by the demon's claws that are his hand with blades as his fingers, while the ninjas are looking for this thing and bring it to justice, if only if it was that easy. At this moment, Tsunade is trying to figure this entire situation out, but it's giving her a massive headache cause she groaned from the migraine. Just what can we do, and if we don't done with this soon? We might have to get help from outside of Konoha, but there's one good thing coming out of all of this, since only the corrupt are targets as well those who attacked Naruto when he was alive, she said looking to her daughter, who gave her a calculating look as the idea formed in her head. Then why don't we? Sayori said getting her mother's attention as she began explaining. It's time that we do, mom, and with the upcoming Chunin exams, it might be the great opportunity to do so. She stated as Tsunade's sensei Sarutobi voiced his agreement. Young Sayori is right, Tsunade, everyone had tried their best to find this demon, and yet none of them have found it. The retired Hokage reasoned as a woman who's holding a pig and dressed in a long bluish-black kimono with white trimming stepped forward. They are right, Lady Tsunade, maybe one of their teams could found it, while ours failed to do so. The woman named Shizune added, causing her mentor to sigh, since they do have very good points. You've all made very strong points and I will get right to it then. Tsunade said as she sits at her desk as she began making requests for a helping hand from the other villages about this demon as well a reward. It was nighttime as Naruto, who's at this training grounds with his hood on, as he takes a look around, seeing that it hasn't been used for a very long time, as he takes out a wanted poster that was made early today, as it was given to him by Ikumi, as he just laughs looking at it. Well, this was unexpected. He started seeing an image of a demonic figure with claws as his hands, which caused him to growl in annoyance. Great, now I have become some kind of legend that people tell their children stories about me. He growled as he crumpled up the paper and throws it away as he thinking of what he should do next, as he remembers that he now has food and clothes for Hitomi to wear after he visited Ikumi's friend Mito, who owns a food stand, and he was able to get some food from her after she gave him a big hug and thanked him for helping her friend. So what should a demon do next? He thought as he lays down and watched the stars as he thinking about things of what happened to him so far. A lot of things has happened, he mentally mused, but couldn't go any further into his thoughts as a group of 20 Anbu with blank masks appeared around him, causing him to growl in irritation as he gets up halfway. Just funking great, he growls as he hears one of them drawing their weapon. We're here to capture you and bring you to our master. The Anbu said with a monotone voice as the blonde demon noticed the kanji of rude on their masks. And why should I? Naruto questioned as he gets on his legs as the rest of the Anbu drew their weapons. You don't have much of a choice. The first Anbu stated as all of them charged at him to show they're willing to use force on the orders of their master. Seeing the approaching group of blank mask shinobi and Kinoichi caused the demonic Uzumaki to just sigh about it since he knows where this was heading. Can't a demon just enjoy his night without ignorant humans rushing to their deaths? He said to himself since he just can't seem to catch a break as his hands shifted into his claws as he charged to kill them all. And play Everywhere I Go by Onlap. The fight begins with 5 of them changing toward, but Naruto doesn't do anything as he allows their swords to stab him, as they wondered why he would allow himself to be stabbed like this. I finally know why I can't get an answer. I finally know why I feel like a number. They keep a secret into their minds. They never talk, even telling lies. Then they see silver chains launching out of his body with hooks on each edge, stabbing into 5 roots right though they heads as blood spills out of them, then the chains pins them on nearby trees and leaving the dead bodies there. Make me feel, hey, at least like a monster. Make me feel, hey, at least like fire. It seems I can't find a place to go. There's a wall of things I'll never know. Why would I escape? Seeing the chains, Naruto looked at them with mild surprise since this was clearly new. Now that was something. He said as he concentrate on his chains as they come back to him, as the remaining 15 roots were thinking of a way to bypass the chains, while the blonde was thinking about his newest ability. When did I get these chains? No matter, I will worry about it later, he thought, since he have some people to take care of, as he readied his claws for both defense and offense, as he starts thinking of how to take down all of them, as the chains wrapped around his arms to his wrist, as he's ready to tear them apart piece by piece. Pause everywhere I go, ho. There's nowhere I belong, ho. Can anyone just tell me what I'll find? Pause everywhere I go, ho. I'm always on my own, ho. Can anyone just catch me before I drown? Can anybody make me feel like I'm not a stranger tonight? As the fight goes on for the rest of the night until there are only Naruto and 4 remaining as he's looking at the dead ones that he had killed before he charged towards one of the roots and used the chains to wrap themselves onto him, but he dodged it, but wasn't able to dodge the slash with his claws, but only to cuts off the shinobi's arm as it falls onto the ground. End song. Just give it up already since you guys have no chance of beating me. The blonde demon stated as the chains rewrap themselves around his arms as the one-arm Anbu starts feeling something, and that is fear as he tries to run away, but the hooded Uzumaki wouldn't let him, so he used the chains once again, and this time catch the one-arm shinobi by his neck. I warned you, he demonically growled as he brings in closer the one-arm root and with his claw slices off his head and let it fall to the ground as he looks at the remaining 3 as he thinks of what he should do with them as he walks up to them as the chains catch them and hold them up. Now then, what should I do to you 3? He wondered, and then it come to him as he goes over to the trees and brings out his claws and starts crafting the trees into something as it didn't take long as 2 X crosses were thrown in the air and lands in central of the grounding trains. I think I just found out of what I'm going to do with you, he said with a sadistic tone as the remaining roots shivered in fear as they saw the gleam in his eyes. Don't be afraid since one of you 3 will become my massager. He added as the hooked ends of the chains change into spearheads and launched them into the chest of 2 of them, near where the heart is, and they couldn't scream or anything as he looks at the last remaining Anbu, and looks like you're it, he simply said as he moves closer with his claw holding them up. Meanwhile, in the Hokage office, Tsunade was looking through of the letters she had made for requesting help from other villages, and now all is there left is to make copies and send them. There, all finished, and now tea, she started to say before a Jonin barged in. Lady Tsunade, look outside your window. The Jonin yelled with urgency in their voice as the busty Senju does so as she see 2 X crosses in front of the tower as this had happened behind her back. Damn it all. She yelled out in fury as she runs outside as she hopes they not more dead bodies to be buried. Outside the tower, everyone around the 2 X crosses are in horror of what they seeing with their eyes as some are keep the youths away from it until Tsunade pushed them aside. Move. Get out of the way. I need to get there. She commanded as she's making her way through until she gets and sees something that would make her very glad that she no longer has the fear of blood because she sees 2 Anbu bleeding out of their chests as their hands and feet are nailed right into the wood as she gasped in horror since seeing such a thing as something truly evil. This she started with a stutter, not finding the proper words before turning towards the Jonins behind her. What are you waiting for? Get them down and pray to Kami that they're still alive. She orders as the Jonins brought them down as a few villagers were talking among themselves as they wonder what this could mean as the female Hokage then looks down and sees a living Anbu wearing a mask with a symbol with root and that they had a note as she takes it and read it as she was now pissed since these Anbu are Danzo's root agents which were supposed to have been disbanded decades ago. Anbu. She called and 6 Anbu appeared. Take them down and get the living one to Ibiki as I want answers, now. She commanded as they nodded and carries out their mission. In one of the rooms of the T&I department, a man wearing a black coat with as his face is covering in scars as he is Ibiki and he's looking at the root Anbu with an intense glare. Alright you piece of shit, tell me what you know or else. He demanded slamming his hands against the table as the root already gives in as they tells of what happened as well, telling that their now dead team had faced a demon from the forest of death with tears falling down from their eyes and that Danzo has been using root to capture the demon for a weapon as well as still kidnaps children from their homes. Ibiki blinked a little dumbfounded since he wasn't expecting this to be too easy, but it doesn't matter, he needs to inform Tsunade about what he'd been told. After dealing with those Anbu as well sending his message to the Hokage, Naruto returns home as he goes to take a shower and once he finished, he gets into his bed and starts to sleep for a bit while Hitomi, dressed in some sexy cow printed lingerie, sees him passed out from exhaustion. Sleep well Naruto-kun, since you can always breed me tomorrow, she sexually whispered into his ear as she crawled next to her demon stud of a lover and pulls a blanket over them as she cuddles close to him as she too began sleeping. The next night at a training ground, a woman in her late 20s with long brown hair styled in a ponytail and red fang tattoos on each of her cheeks as she wearing her Jonin vest and grey shorts that shows off her legs, but who is she and why is she here at night? Well, she's Hana Inyazuka, and there's a reason for it, since the women of the Inyazuka clan goes through a heat cycle, given their deep animal connections with dogs, but each of them go through it at different times at least once a year. But why is she going through this particular training ground? That is because there's a waterfall near it and she's going there in order to avoid men as well to relieve herself as she is blushing badly as her breathing was increasing along with the heat inside of her body. I'm almost there and good thing that no one knows that I go here during my cycle, Hana said to herself through pants as she almost thankful that no one had seen or followed her as she continued on her path to the waterfall. Once she'd arrived at the waterfall with a little lake, she unzips her vest releasing her firm and supple double G cup freests bounce a little followed by her shirt, showing that she wasn't wearing a bra. Which makes her freests bounce more, leaving only her shorts on as she removes them and her panties as well as she lays down near the edge as she spread her legs and slowly moves her hand down from her neck to her freests, then to her toned flat stomach. And finally her soaking needy peep as she begins rubbing it lightly as she starts moaning with a light blush on her as she uses the water as a mirror so she could see what she's doing as she began pushing her fingers into her beep as she moans more while relieving herself. What she doesn't know was that her pheromones were sending out an invitation to her soon-to-be mate. Naruto just appeared at the training ground after a good rest, as well some fun with Hitomi as he tries to remember his childhood, but all he's getting are foggy memories. Why are all of my memories so foggy? Did my transformation have something to do with it? He thought, but then he smells something pleasant in the air as he wonders what it is, as it was also waking up his manhood as he follows the smell as it getting stronger, as well making him harder by each step he takes until the scent trail led him to the waterfall where Hana is, and upon seeing her, he quickly hides in the trees as he thinking what is a woman doing here for and why was there a very pleasant scent coming from her. I really wish I could find the right mate since all those others are very submissive, Hana moaned out loud, thinking that she's alone as she fingered herself while groping one of her own tits. I want a real man, an alpha who'd put me in my place and make me his bitch she added as her animal instincts kicked in as she's fingering herself even more. Seeing and hearing this woman caused Naruto to clench his head as a memory began to play within his mind. Flashback, Naruto's POV. Class at the academy had ended for the day and parents were here to pick up their kids while I was sitting on the swing with a sad and jealous look on my face as I watched the other students getting hugged and praised by their families while some of them sent heated glares and hated sneers my way until I noticed someone coming over towards me as this person is an older girl before she stopped in front of me. Once she was close, I noticed that she has brown hair and those red fang tattoos on her face like my classmates Kiba and Inuki has meaning that she'd from the same clan as them. Hey, what are you doing here all by yourself? She asked as she's looking at me. Since this wasn't the first time someone pretended to be nice to me in order to hurt me, I reacted defensively. Why should you care? I asked with a defensive sneer as I looked away from her so I didn't see the sudden surprised look on her face. Well, my little sister told me that you need a friend. She said, surprising me as I slowly look at her while slightly leering since this could still be a trick. Who told you that? I asked, still keeping my guard up, though I was bit curious since I'm not the most liked person in the academy by both teachers and students alike. She smiles gently, which caused me to feel my face heat up a little since I've learned how to read the emotions of people and I can tell that her smile is genuine. My little sister Inuki told me since she is a good little sister unlike my brother Kiba. Oh, where are my manners? My name is Hana Inyazuka. What is your name? She asked after introducing herself, which surprised me that she's the older sister of my classmates. Getting over my surprise, I looked at her and introduced myself. My name is Naruto Uzumaki, nice to meet you Hana-chan. I said with a smile at finally having my first real friend besides the ramen stand owner and his daughter that I never noticed the slight blush on Hana's face. Flashback over, normal POV. Hana, is that really you? Naruto whispered to himself as he looks at her, then slowly approached her before leaping out of the tree. Hana. He exclaimed with his hood on as he caught the Inyazuka by complete surprise as well during orgasm, so she couldn't think right because of the heat as it messing with her thoughts as well mind. Glancing towards the in from of her, two different thoughts ran through Hana's mind. Who is that and why does it feels like I know him? The more rational human part of her thought. Finally. A real man who could really funk me silly as well dominate me. While the more primal part of her brain howled in excitement since the man in front of her has the aura, appearance, and, judging by the tent in his pants, beep of an alpha which caused her body to heat up and released more pheromones as she got up on her leg while covering herself. You seem familiar somehow, but I feel that I have met you before. She stated with a slight stutter as she's looking at his body as the sight of it is making her more wet than before, but she needs to control herself. Of course you know me, we've met at the ninja academy where I was sitting on the swing. Naruto said as he took off his hood, which left her shocked seeing that her friend is alive and right in front of her. Naruto. The Inyazuka yelled as she pounced and hugged him and gives him a kiss, which shocks him as she can't control herself at the moment but then stops herself with what little control she has as she realized that she was completely naked as she quickly got off of him. I'm sorry. It's just that I'm in heat, she stuttered out with a huge embarrassed blush on her face as she noticed the confused look on his face. It's something women from my clan go through as we succumb to lust as well, wanting to find a mate. She explained, though she couldn't help but steal glances at the blonde stud before her as her body was screaming for release. Let me guess, you have to find a mate, don't you? Naruto asked as she nodded as he took a whiff of the pheromones coming off of her, which caused him to sliding growl as his member twitched within his pants. Yeah, I do, but all the guys I meet are weak and submissive or are very pushy when it comes to sex, or they don't like the smell of dogs. Hana explained since she broke up with her last boyfriend in both feeling and physical pain since she slapped her ex for being a complete bastard to the dogs in her clinic. Feeling the clear lust the Inyazuka has towards him, as well the discomfort within his pants, Naruto voiced a suggestion that it benefits both of them. Well, I can give you a choice because I like dogs, and I am pretty strong and not submissive. How about you mate with me or you have to deal with this heat on your own? He said, catching the brunette by surprise as her eyes widen, while her blush deepens as she began moaning as she felt his fingers pushing into her beep. I really like you Hana as you are nice, gentle, kind, caring and a very lovely woman on both the inside and outside. So you pick between me becoming your mate or you can continue to be stuck in your heat. He explained, giving her options as he fingered her for a few moments before removing them from her folds. Whimpering at the lost feeling of his fingers, Hana bowed her head so he wouldn't see the burning blush on her face. I want you to be my mate, she whispered in a soft tone of voice as he couldn't hear her. Sorry, what was that? I couldn't hear what you said. Naruto asked as he moves in closer as the Inyazuka couldn't take it anymore as she charged and jumps onto him, knocking them both into the lake as she completely given into her lust from her heat cycle as she stares at him with a primal lustful gleam in her eyes. I said I want you to be my mate and funk me right now. Hana howled, releasing more pheromones as the blonde Uzumaki gave into his own lust as he pushed her off and tore his own soaked clothes off, leaving him naked as his fully hard 13-inch beep to smack her in the face, which made her even more horny. Lemon scene happened. 2 days have passed and at the household of the Inyazuka clan, the matriarch of the clan was walking back and forth because she's worried beyond belief, and that's because her eldest child Hana who hasn't returned home. The woman has wild brown hair with red fang tattoos on her cheeks and she's wearing her Jonin uniform, though it's hugging her figure very well, even though she's in her late 40s, but she still looks to be in her 20s because she takes good care of herself as well as her body since she has a very massive and firm I-cup bust as well and toned robust figure as she's Tsume Inyazuka. Watching his mother as she's worried about his oldest sister Hana, who wasn't come back, was a boy who has turned 19 not that long ago, as he's wearing a black jacket and pants as well, the same red fang tattoos on his cheek as he's Kiba Inyazuka, the third and youngest child of Tsume, as he looks at his worried sick mother. I'm sure Hana is okay, maybe she's with her boyfriend or something, he reassured with a look of mock concern on his face. Which I hope she ran away with. He mentally added because deep down he doesn't want his oldest sister to come back since she always picks on him for just about everything there is. Tsume stopped her pacing as she snapped at her son with a harsh look. That's bullshit and you know it, Kiba. You and I both know that Hana's love life isn't that great. She stated as she knows that her eldest daughter had dated a few guys, but those guys were too weak and submission for her since the women of her clan wants to be dominated by someone stronger than them, someone who'll put them in their places as their bitches due to the clan deep animal connections with dogs and other types of canines. Yeah, you have a point there. Kiba said with a stutter, sweating from under his mother's glare since there was only one other explanation. Then that would mean the demon might have gotten to her and killed her. He said as his words don't even ease the mother's worries at all, since it only made them worse. If that were the case then we must start the search then. The Inyazuka matriarch exclaimed since 2 days have already passed, meaning that the chances of even finding her daughter dead or alive were quickly sliming. I don't know why we should bother after all since I'm the heir to the clan after all, the younger Genin stated as he doesn't even care about what happened to his sister. Tsume snarled as she once again glared at her son. Okay, first of all, you're not the heir, Kiba. Hana is since she's older than you and more responsible than you'll ever be, she harshly stated, which caused Kiba to get a little anger about that. What? But if she becomes the leader of the clan, then she won't stop at nothing to continue putting my name to shame. He argued as he worries more about his future than his own sister. Oh, don't be such a whelp, Kiba. A female voice called, stopping their argument from going any further as they turned there. She added with a snicker as she's the same age as Kiba, but she's wearing similar clothes that Hana wears, only without the Jonin vest, as she has wild brown hair like Tsume, but bit longer with a small side ponytail on the left side of her head, and just like the other she too has red fang tattoos on her cheeks as she's Inuki. Kiba's older twin sister by 3 minutes as well, Tsume's second and youngest daughter. Inuki, leave him be, we have to find Hana. Tsume stated, leaving the room as Inuki glanced towards her younger twin. Come on, you lazy idiot, we have to find big sis. She exclaimed, causing Kiba to grumble at her insultingly as she kicks him in the balls, making him scream like a little girl as all three of them with the youngest walking behind them in pain as they get out of the house to look for Hana, but not before the matriarch left the clan, a note telling them that they went looking for their heiress. Arriving at the training ground where Hana's scent was last noted, Tsume, Inuki and Kiba began looking for any clues as they start smelling around the area. While looking around, Inuki starts thinking as she smells a very familiar scent that she never thought she would smell again. This scent, it's something I haven't smelled in a very long time. But that's impossible since this belongs to someone who is supposed to be dead, she thought as she moves away from her mother and brother following the scent until she was far away enough as someone grabs her from behind while covering her mouth as she vanishes into the shadows. Neither Kiba nor Tsume noticed that Inuki is gone as they made their way towards the lake and waterfall, since that's where Hana's scent led them. I smell Hana's scent along with someone else's scent. But this scent is of someone that I haven't smelled it in a long time, since this scent smells like the little boy I used to see around Konoha. Tsume said as she starts getting angry as well started growling, since the reason why is because she blames herself for not being able to help Naruto out when he was alive like she could have on that night 6 years ago, since he was also the last thing that reminded her of her old friend. Kiba slowly backs away from his mother as he knows why she's upset. She must be thinking about that dead last again. I will never understand why she cares about him. He thought with a groan as he doesn't notice someone approaching behind him since the Inyazuka matriarch was distracted as she keeps on thinking about Naruto without realizing of what is happening behind them as he unknowing gets knocked out and taken away. Finally getting her thoughts back in order, the mother was about to ask her son something, but when she turns around, she saw that he wasn't there at all. Kiba. She called out but got no answer as it caused her to irritably growl. Damn that boy. He must have run off without me knowing. She growls angrily as she's thinking of what she should do with her youngest when she gets her hands on him as she never noticed a figure quickly appearing behind her. Go to the forest of death. The figure whispered, surprising her as quickly turns to see that there's no one here and wonders who was that as she's thinking about of what the voice said. The forest of death. But that's where the demon lives. Wait, don't tell me that. Upon realizing it, she runs toward the forest of death in a rush and hoping that she's not too late. Tsume arrived at the forest of death, but she has to stop herself as she started thinking about where she's even going. Damn it. I don't know where to look in this damn forest. She yelled out as she began looking around and noticed claw marks on the trees. Noticing that these are freshly made claw marks, the figure from before quickly appeared behind her again. Follow the claw marks that are on the trees until you see a base. The figure instructed before quickly disappearing as the fair-looking woman isn't sure about this, but what choice does she have as she follows the trees with claw marks on them until finally reaching a very old and beaten up base as she didn't know that this base even existed in this forest as she walks up to the door and opens it as she takes a look inside and sees the place was bigger on the inside than on the outside as she quickly found the door with her kid sent behind it when she opened the door and was shocked by what she saw. In front of her was her son Kiba who's all chained up as he trying to break free but has no luck of doing so before noticing Inuki who's looking after a sleeping Hana who was completely naked as well, having a big satisfied smile on her face like she had the best funk ever or something. Hana. Tsume yelled as she runs up to her daughters while completely forgetting about Kiba as she's checking on her eldest as she sees a mark on her neck as well a very swollen belly that makes her look like she's heavily pregnant with twins or maybe triplets. Why is Hana naked and smiling like that? She questioned as her youngest daughter shrugged her shoulders not knowing the answer either. Hey, can you unchain me already? Kiba yelled out angrily because his mother forget about him being all chained up. Before anyone else could say or do anything, the figure appeared in the doorway. Yeah, that's kind of my doing since Hana needed to rest when I found her in during her heat cycle, and well let's just say that she desperately needed much relief since she wanted it very badly but may have gone overboard since I think I've knocked her up with the pups she begged me to breed her with. The figure said as he shows himself from the shadows with his new HUD on. Who are you? Tsume demanded as she's getting very angry at the man for raping and impregnating her daughter. Staring at the female clan head with his eyes glowing in the shadows of his hood, he answered her. Oh that's very simple really since after all, Kiba should who I am for sure since Inuki here already knows who I am. Naruto simply said as he removes his hood to show his face. Kiba's face becomes one of complete as he saw his familiar face. You're that dope Naruto, the dead last of our class. He yelled out before angrily growling upon realizing the cause for his eldest sister's current state. I thought you were dead you bastard, now I'm going to make you wish you were. He yells out furiously struggling and kicking while trying to get out of the chains so he can kill him for having his way with his sister. Just you wait because as soon as I'm out of these chains, you won't be alive for long you bastard. He declared angrily as everyone in the room just sweat dropped watching as he tries and failed to break free from the chains until Tsume walked next to him and hits him on the head to shut him up. Hey now, I gave Hana a choice of what to do with her heat cycle. Naruto said while holding up his hand defensively before a pleasant grin appeared on his face. But in the end of it she agreed that we should funk and now we've become mates since she's probably carrying my children. He added, speaking the truth as he remembers all the facts he had with both Hana and Hitomi the past few days, since he's positive that the Hyuga MILF may also be pregnant with his child. While the mother and daughter thought over his words of them becoming possible grandmother and aunt, the son was livid. Bullshit. I bet the real truth is that you raped her. He accused, snarling as he once again tries get free, which caused the blonde to shake his head sadly. Ami, things just never seems to change since I'm still being called a liar, whether I'm human or a demon. He solemnly said, since it's been 6 years and things still haven't changed. Hearing what he said, Tsume turned her attention towards her friend's son as she gave him a questioning look. Demon? What do you mean, Naruto, since you are not a demon? She explained since she has no problem with Naruto and Hana becoming mates since her daughter needed a real man as well as strong alpha to father her children, which he clearly is, even though she thought he died that night along with everyone else. Giving her a sheepish look, the Uzumaki decided to explain the situation he's been dealing with. Yeah, about that, Ms. Tsume, on that night when Mizuki tricked and attacked me to get the forbidden scroll, he cut off both of my arms, and while I was dying, I was given an offer to either become a demon or die. He explained while walking up to Hana, putting a tender hand to her cheek as well, gently rub her swollen belly, as Inuki watched with slight jealousy as she remembers him telling her about it earlier. I took the offer, and when I first became a demon, I gave into my bloodlust and killed 2 people, as the first was on purpose, but the second was someone I never wanted to kill. He continued solemnly with a face of sorrow, while his latest lover nuzzled against his hand, causing a small smile to grace his lips. That night I became what a lot of people had always called me, so I have been living in the forest of death ever since for the past 6 years now. He finished, causing the 2 Inyazuka women to gasp as Kiba is just getting the pieces together as he horribly realizes everything. No, you did it, didn't you? He started as he glared hatefully at his former classmate. You killed Iruka-sensei and all those other people, it was you the entire time. He yelled in angry as Naruto turned toward him with a look of mixed pain. I was not in control of myself since it just happened. Okay, a lot of things have changed, Kiba, since I never wanted this, but I didn't want to die. The Uzumaki yelled back as his voice was mixed with hurt, along with tears running down his face. Do you really think that I wanted to kill Iruka-sensei? Because I realized that on that night if I lived in the village I would be killing so many people. He argued while clenching his hands as he was unconsciously releasing his kai, causing the 3 Inyazuka members to whimper submissively, while Hana whimpered in pleasure as she was dreaming about her alpha dominating her again. For 6 years I had to kill things here within this forest in order to avoid succumbing myself to the bloodlust. And there were times that I wanted to kill myself, but it turns out I can't die, Kiba. He exclaimed as his kai stopped flooding the room before continuing. No matter what, and what's more is that I forgot how to feel or even be human. But the truth is, I don't think I want to feel like a human. He stated as his hands transforms into claws as he goes up to his former classmate as well. Bully. Not with the memories of the darkest parts of my childhood, he solemnly added as he remembers all the beatings, all the stabbings, as well all the other things he'd endured before that night, as Tsume digested the information and her eyes widened as she can't help but feel even more sorry for him, and the same goes for Inuki. And you know what else I remember? He added as he was now standing above the bound Inyazuka. Seeing the look in his eyes, Kiba knew what he was talking about. Don't you dare say it. He protested in panic as the demonic blonde yanked him up to his knees. Tsume and Inuki looked at their son brother as the former leered at him. Say what exactly, Kiba, what do you do? She sternly questioned with her arms crossed since she want to knows what her no good son did. Naruto turned towards her and began answering. One of the things he has done in the academy was more than just simple name calling Tsume, for he would hit me and start fights for no reason, saying I would start the fights when it was all a lie, as he also nearly killed me a few times. He explained, gripping hard on the shoulder of one of his tormentors, causing him to howl in pain from how much pressure he was putting on as squeezed his shoulder. One of the many reasons I don't want to be human again is because the people who beat me for no reason are the real demons, since even the demons of hell would never hurt a child for punishment of death. Exclaimed, putting more pressure on his shoulder that it could pop from the socket any moment now. You were always the one who got me kicked out of class more than the teachers, he growled bitterly as Kiba howled out in pain as his shoulder was fully dislocated. Tsume looked at her son questioning. Kiba, is all of this true? Say something. She demanded, but he didn't answer, and that alone told her everything, and what Naruto had said was true. And with his silence as proof of your son's actions had toward me. The blonde said as he lifted Kiba by his injured shoulder, making him growl and hiss in pain, and moved him closer towards the Inyazuka matriarch, who's looking at her child with disgust. So it is true that you did bully Naruto, even though I taught you better than that, Tsume snarled, as her son doesn't bother to look her in the eyes. Seeing that Kiba wasn't even going to argue, Naruto glanced towards his mother. "So Ms. Tsume, what are you doing to do with Kiba?" he asked but didn't hear anything from her as she came up and hugged him with his hands returning to normal. "I'm so sorry for what Kiba did to you." The clan leader apologized with tears seeping through her eyes. The demonic Uzumaki was surprised by this but became even more surprised when he felt another person hugging him as he turned to see Inuki doing the same. "And I'm sorry for not noticing Naruto." She also apologized since she was supposed to keep an eye on her twin as tears also seeped down her face. Hearing his mother and sister apologizing to the dead last made Kiba livid. "Fine, the reason why I did it to the loser is because he stole away my woman." He snapped out getting everyone's attention as both Tsume and Inuki lets go of Naruto as he goes up to Kiba again and lift him by his other shoulder. "What the hell are you even talking about, Kiba?" he asked as he's a bit confused by his statement. "Even when you were dead, she still loved you and wouldn't let it go and get together with someone else," Kiba growled in anger as he glares hatefully at the blonde. "But no, she still loves your sorry ass since I bet once she finds out that you truly are a demon, then finally she'll realizes that she belongs to me," he exclaimed as Uzumaki still doesn't know what he's talking about. Stepping up, Inuki once again kicked her brother in the balls as she glared at him. "You truly are a fool for thinking like that, since Hinata would never fall for you or be your woman," she stated with her arms crossed since she could practically smell the desire their other classmate had for the blonde demon. And hearing that statement right there was when Naruto had finally lost it. "You idiot. Do you know how much love I received as a child? It was less than what you have received," he roared out with his voice turning demonic, which sent shivers up everyone's spine, with the male crapping himself while the females were actually getting wet as the skin on his arms started to change into scales while his claws were back. "No one ever told me what love feels like since all I ever known is hatred," he added as the blades of his claws darken as he about to kill Kiba with them as he's very pissed off. But before he could, Tsume spoke up. "Hold it right there, Naruto," she exclaimed as he stops while she's thinking about the similarities he has with her friend. "Dear Kami, he's got his mother's temper," she mentally sighs, feeling very turned on by the sheer dominance that was radiating off of him as she walks up to them with Inuki, wondering what her mother is going to do as she watches. "Kiba, you might be my son, but you are a disgrace to me and our clan's beliefs, and you will never change along with the way you think, just like your no good father," she snarled, seeing that her son acting like her bastard of an ex since she knows what she must do. "As the clan leader of the Inuzuka, I hereby order your execution," she declared, causing her children to gasp at her decision. Kiba couldn't believe what he's hearing. "At least I'm not betraying the clan to a demon," he snapped back since his own family were choosing the side of the demon as he'd wish he'd fully killed him during their time at the academy. His remark caused a matriarch to bitch slap him across the face, knocking his other shoulder out of its socket as he hissed in pain since both his arms were now dislocated. "No, Kiba, you're the one who betrayed the clan by disregarding our clan's ways," she said as she glared hatefully at him since this was how things ended with her ex. "And who better to end your life than Naruto?" she added as she looks away from Kiba as he tries to say something only for Naruto to yank him up by his dislocated arms as pierce his left clawed hand through his chest and tear out his heart and crush it in front of him before slicing off his head from his body as it falls and rolled on the ground. After the demonic Uzumaki completed the task, he began to growl, feeling his bloodlust started to surface again as he turns his attention towards the two women in the room. "I need your help because ever since I became a demon, I've had a hard time controlling my bloodlust, so please help me. I can feel my bloodlust coming to the surface and I only know one way to control it, and it's not easy to ask, but it's the only way to help hold it back since you and your clan had training to control your instincts, but I don't, so please, I need the help to control myself or else I'll succumb to my bloodlust again," he pleaded with a growl as he's trying to hold himself back because he doesn't want to kill them. Seeing that he was struggling to hold off his killing instincts, Tsume along with Inuki began thinking of ways to help him. "Besides killing my no good brother, you've killed a few people in order to surpass your bloodlust, right?" the latter of the two asked as Naruto nods while trying to keep himself check. "Yes, I have, like killing the majority of the Uchiha clan since they were planning to take over Konoha, as well that asshole who was trying to use a puppy as target practice, and my first killing was that group of men that tried to rape Hitomi-chan," he explained since that helped the two women figure out how to help him. His last statement caught Tsume by surprise. "Hitomi? But isn't she missing?" she thought, but pushed that bit of information aside since she knows who else he's talking about. "Well, the asshole you killed was Hana's ex, by the way, which I thank you for killing him." She thanked happily know that bastard is dead since she was planning on killing him herself. Meanwhile, Inuki thought of something that made her blush. "Well, have you tried mating while your bloodlust surfaced?" she suggested with a heavy blush more as her mother caught on about it. "No, I haven't tried, but why are you asking that?" Naruto asked as he wonders just what the youngest in Yakuza was planning. Inuki doesn't answer as she goes up to him with a sway of her hips as she pressed herself very close to him. "How about you mate with me?" she cooed with a seductive grin as well, a massive blush on her face as she rubbed herself against him, leaking pheromones as she felt his muscles under his clothes. Before Naruto could say anything, Tsume come up and also pressed herself against him. "Me too, since I always wanted a strong mate, and from what I just experienced the past few moments, you are prime alpha material," she exclaimed with a lustful growl while releasing her own pheromones as both her and her daughter started humping against him, as their animal instinct as well horny state of mind was wanting them to funk right here right now. "I think it would be better to take this into a different room since there's a dead body in here after all," Hitomi said, getting their attention as she's leaning against the doorframe naked with milk dripping from her tits. Tsume looks at Naruto as she wants answers, but he placed a finger upon her lips. "Funk now, talk later," he huskily growled, sending shivers up her spine as the Inyazuka pheromones are affecting him again as he takes them both to another room as causing them to get more turned on by his physical strength. Once they've left the room, Hitomi is thinking of what should she do with the dead body of Kiba before grinning, since she knows Tsume and her daughter are soon going to have a serious case of doggy brains like Hana has once he's done with them. Lemon scene happened. "I can't wait to taste both of your milk when you have my kids," he huskily said, causing them both to giggle before kissing and licking his cheeks like good bitches. "Then breed us, Naru-sama, breed your bitches with your pups," the Inyazuka sister begged, turning around on all fours while shaking their asses at him, inviting him to funk them as several more hours of intense lovemaking began. 3 days have passed and Tsume was standing in the Hokage office. "So that what happened to your son, Tsume?" Tsunade asked as she's holding the report, or rather the death report, of one genin and member of teammate Kiba Inyazuka as she looks at the deceased genin's mother. "That is right, Lady Hokage, my son Kiba went after the demon of the forest for personal reasons that I had no knowledge of, since he's also hard-headed, so even if I ordered him not to, he wouldn't listen to me about going after the demon, but as you can see, after 3 days of no return, I'm afraid my son is no longer among the living," the Inyazuka clan leader stated, since most of it's a lie even though bits of it is true. Sayori may have had a straight face, but on the inside. Ding dong, the pervert's dead. She was mentally cheering as Chibi, her inside her head, was throwing a party like no tomorrow and beating a X-out-eyed Kiba-shaped pinata. The Busty Senju sighed, since another person has been killed. "I'm very sorry for your loss," she solemnly said, but even though she said sorry, deep down she's happy that Kiba is dead, since she always catch him looking at her or daughter's feasts and acts like he wasn't. "Thanks and all, but there's no need since everyone in the clan hated Kiba," Tsume stated, since her former son was a disgrace upon the family. The female Kage raised a curious eyebrow upon that statement. "Is that so?" she asked, since she knows that Kiba was an asshole and a pervert, but is he really that bad? As if reading her mind, the clan matriarch answered. "Mostly because he believed that he's going to be the next leader when I step down," she simply stated, but there were more reasons she didn't want to list before being dismissed and heads for home. Once she left, Tsunade began thinking about this while Sayori leaps into the air. "Thank Kami that creep Kiba is dead," she happily cheered, since she now has one let perverted bastard to deal with, while praying that the demon would slay the rest of her creepy stalkers. Walking around the village with his hood on, he headed towards the other forest area while looking at his new and improved clawed arms, which makes him wonder just what kind of demon is he anyway, but couldn't think any further on the subject as another group of root agents appeared out of the shadows and tries to attack him, as he noticed this time their number is greater than the last one group, which causes him to sigh as he blocks their attacks like they were nothing with his arms. "Let me guess, turn myself into your oh so great master's hands, because I don't have a choice because he wants to use me for his goals, right?" he sarcastically asked, since he pretty much guessed right. "How do you know that?" one of the roots asked as they're on guard, while the whiskered blonde just shook his head. "Because you aren't the first group of root agents that tried capturing me for your master," he stated dismissively, as he doesn't want to deal with this. Another member of Root stepped forward with their weapon drawn. "But even so, we still outnumber you greatly," they said as the rest also drew their weapons. "That's what the last few said before I killed them," Naruto stated as he vanished from their sight, as that action puts the group of 30 on edge as they look around to see where their target might strike, only to keep hearing this loud tipping sound around them as the sound distracted them from focusing on one spot or another, because now they don't know when or where their target will appear as one of them gets attacked from behind, as his back is slashed with cut marks as blood splatter out from it as they died on the spot, as everyone else wonders of what just happened, as until another root had gotten stabbed from behind as the Uzumaki allowed the others to attack him, but it turns out it's a clone as it poofs away and the root died as well. Then next Root was jumped and pulled into the shadows, and they heard the sounds of flesh being pierced and knew that he was dead as a few more gets killed, as the sounds of flesh being sliced is heard from all around them and leaving only 24 of them left, but that doesn't last long as another Root gets his head decapitation as the head falls onto the ground, followed by a few more of them. Until only 16 of them were left as Demon of Konoha shows himself, along with a few of his clones, with each of their claws covered in blood of the fallen Ambus. Then all of them suddenly vanished in a flash of red and black, killing all but one of them in a blur of blood spatting and flying body parts, as the lone survivor booked it, as the Uzumaki reappeared wondering where is the last one went as the last Root member came up and attempt to slice him from behind, but the blade of their sword broke upon hitting the scales on his back, drawing his attention as he looks behind as he sees the last remaining Root as he quickly slashes their head into pieces as the headless body falls to the ground as a great amount of blood squirted out and covers him, making him groan as he now reeks of blood, so he heads back towards the village. He has someone he wants to see. Unohana Retsu had just entered her apartment after working a long shift at the hospital and just wanted to relax a bit while thinking about Naruto, who was also unlocking her window and goes inside, causing her to yelp in surprise as she sees the man she was thinking of inside of her apartment as he takes off his jacket before noticing that he's covered in blood, which means he was killing someone. Again, and she's pretty sure that it's another group of Root agents. "Naruto, I wasn't expecting you," she exclaimed as she thinking that she must look like a mess. Naruto looks up at her as he took off his shirt revealing his bare muscular torso. "Sorry about that, Nurse Retsu, but do you have something that'll takes the smell of blood off of clothing?" he asked while taking off the rest of his clothing, leaving him completely naked. Seeing the man she'd once helped treated as a child standing there in front of her completely naked caused some deep perverted desires to stir up within her. "Yes I do, but why don't you take a shower while I wash your clothes?" she suggested with a heavy blush on her face as she has something in mind for the stud before her as he agrees while heading over to the bathroom as she went to get his clothes started as well get herself ready. Naruto finished his shower as the blood that had covered him was now gone as he's walking out with a towel around his waist, covering his lower half as he sees Unohana with her nurse's uniform unbuttoned, showing off her slender supple body, as well her underwear, which are a pink pair of lacy bra and panties, along with matching colored garter belt and stockings. "Hello Naruto, ready for your checkup," she said in a sexy voice, causing the younger man to groan as he felt his beat getting very hard as a large tent formed from under his towel. Lemon scene happened. After their release finished, Unohana fainted since she couldn't stay up anymore, so the demonic blonde carried her to her room and placed her on her bed as he then takes another shower before getting his clothes and heading home. Meanwhile within a cave, the two figures can feel their lord becoming stronger as they both grin. "He's awakening, sister, soon our lord shall return to us," the first figure said, licking her lips, since their lord will soon awaken. "Yes sister, soon the conquering lord will return and the multiverse will soon be at our mercy," the second figure added as the light from the crystal shone parts of their scaly body and clawed hand along with the large wings on their backs. What and who they were talking about was coming and that it'll be happening soon. It's been some time since Naruto had added in Tsume and her two daughters as well, killing Kiba as the demonic Uzumaki is doing some light training with Hitomi watching him before he stopped and turned towards her. "I've been meaning to ask, how many members of your family do you have from your marriage with your ex-husband?" he asked, since clans are difficult to keep track of specific family members. "Oh, well, you already know about my no-good husband who's been a terrible father toward my second eldest daughter," the Haika MILF said as she began listing her family members. "Next are my three daughters with my eldest Akari, who kindly looks like me but younger. Then there's Hinata, which I'm sure you know since she was in your class," she informed, tapping her chin as Naruto thought about it as he kinds of remember her. "And finally, there's my youngest Hanabi, who I have to admit does somewhat takes after her Hiashi," she added with distaste before continuing. "Next there are my in-laws and their children Hisashi, Hiashi's twin brother who looks kind of exactly like Hiashi, but he's not very faithful toward his wife, his name is Momo by the way," she informed, causing her new lover to raise a brow at the name. "Momo? Why is she named Momo?" he asked, wondering about her sister-in-law's name. "It's short for Momoyo, but she just likes to be called Momo," the busty Perplet explained before continuing on with her list. "Next are their two eldest daughters, which are twins, Hisha and Hashi, as well their son Niji, who I do find very unbearable to deal with," she trailed with deadpanned eyes as she thought about her nephew's obsession with fate before thinking of someone else. "Oh, there's a maid that looks after Hanabi, her name is Natsu," she quickly added, thinking about her youngest daughter's caretaker. Nodding at the list, Naruto then asked her a serious question. "So, who really controls the Haika clan? Your ex or someone else?" he asked, causing his first mate to snicker with her arms crossed, pushing up her enormous double L cup bosom, which has grown slightly from all the sex they've been having. "Hiashi please." She chuckled as her jugs jiggled before the chuckling soon morphed into a sneer. He just does anything the elders of the clan tells him. She distastefully stated since the elders want to brand her eldest and middle children with caged bird seals and place them into the branch family as slaves and breeders. Sensing the MILF's negative emotions, the demonic blonde flexed his claws. Well, in that case, looks like I'm leaving for another hunt. He said as he goes to grab his shirt and hood only for Hitomi to hug him from behind with a sexy seductive grin on her face. Before you leave, Naruto-kun, how about some fresh creamy milk for the road? She seductively cooed, grinding her extra juicy melons against his bare back while rubbing her hands over his muscular chest as she rubbed down his abs before digging into his pants as the Uzumaki gained a predatory grin before the area was flooded with echoing sounds of a demon breeding his cow. Naruto, after having plowed Hitomi until the sun went down, lurked within the shadows, his demonic eyes glowing as he looked around the Haikyuu compound searching for his prey. Let's see, if I were a member of the Haikyuu elders, where would I be? He thought as he trekked through the colliders, quickly getting annoyed as every hallway and doors looked the same. Oh, funk it, I'm going full on killing machine on this place if I don't find them soon enough. He mentally growled in frustration as he stuck outside, pulling his hood up as he moved along on the top of the building as he finally found where the elders were as they were within a meeting room inside the main branch mansion as he pressed his ear against the wall as he wants to know of what they're talking about before he goes in there to kill them. Since now that worthless woman is gone, we can finally brand that failure of a Haikyuu. He heard one of the elders say before hearing them continue. And I'm sure Hiashi will agree to placing the caged bird seal on his daughter Hinata as well, making her into breeding stock. Another elder said, sounding smug. Not only her, but her older sister and cousins as well. Another elder, a woman this time, said as another male elder spoke. Well, given their looks, I won't mind doing them myself, he said with a lecherous tone that sounds a bit perverted as Naruto has heard enough as his rage and bloodlust were building with each elders talking as his eyes turned blood red and his hands shifted into claws as he had enough of them talking as well, living as he lost complete control of himself as he never wanted to kill so badly before. Within the meeting room, the Haikyuu elders were chattering as well, snickering as they made their plans only for the next thing they knew. The light suddenly dimmed until they were in complete darkness as one elder, with their Byakugan on, is looking at the wall walking towards it while the other elders were wondering why the light suddenly cut off. Smash. Swish. That was until a clawed hand broke through the wall and grabbed the elder's face as they were dragged outside through the busted wall as a scream was heard before quickly being cut off by the sounds of a blade cutting through fresh, then silenced as the remaining elders are scared half to death, believing that the demon has come for them. Why is the demon here? We must do something in order to stay, one of the elders started saying before another wall, which was behind him, gets pierced through by the claws which shot through his chest as the second elder gasps as he looks down with blood dripping from his mouth as another claw sliced across his neck, decapitating him as his head fell onto the floor. Seeing that two of their members were now dead, the remaining elders tried to get away going through the door, only to see someone standing in their way with blood-red eyes glowing demonically within the darkness. None of you are going to live after tonight, the person snarled with a demonic tone as he shot out spikes from his body, killing two more elders as their bodies are covered gaping holes and spikes as they were pierced through every part of the body, including the eyes, leaving only 4 elders left. Please spare us. We will give you anything, just let us live. One of the remaining elders begged as Naruto just laughs at her plead. Do you think some deal of giving anything I want would work? Well, it would on a human person, but however, I'm not human. The cloaked Uzumaki said dismissively as he approached the cowering Hyuga elders with his claws flexed out. I'm a demon that will kill you where you stand. He declared as he lunges upon the scared female elder and starts lashing her up into pieces as she screams in pain before dying, before turning his attention at the last 3 elders before rushing towards the one at the middle and pinned him against the wall as he then used his blade-like clawed fingers to pierce through his hands and feet, snapping off each claw from his hand as the elder was crying in both fear and pain. Why are you doing this, you monster? He screamed, wondering why the demon was doing this. I don't need a reason to kill the corrupt. That is what makes it so much fun, hunting and killing those who had it for so long. The hooded demon said as he jabbed a bladed finger into his forehead, piercing through the 6th elder's skull, ending his life as the 7th Haikyuu elder goes for a Juken strike to the Uzumaki from behind, only for dozens of sharp spines growing from his back as they combined into one big blade that slices the foolish Haikyuu in half. Seeing that they were the only one left, the final living elder fell backwards in fear as they saw the whole room now covered in blood, along with dead bodies littering the floor as they'd done something that should have been done earlier. Guards. There's a killer in the meeting room. Come and protect your, they called out, but couldn't finish their order as their mouth gets pierced through by the claws of the hooded demon, who swipes away, tearing the top part of the elder's head, which flew and smacked against the wall as their body dropped. Seeing that all the Haika elders are dead, the Haika guards burst into the room with their Byakugan activated only to be shocked and horrified upon seeing the carnage that were once their elder council, as Naruto leered at them with a bloodthirsty grin. "Well then, looks like I'll be having a bit more fun before I go," he mused with a wicked tone as the guards charged towards him as he flexed his claws, smiling at the chance for more destruction and carnage. The next morning, the rest of the Haika clan saw the dead and mutilated remains of their clansmen, as there was one survivor, along with the Haika clan symbol, with a claw mark slashed across it, as Hiashi asks his brother, who had gotten a message from the only survivor before dying from their injuries, as well the stress and trauma from last night. To give a message, the demon of the forest wants to see your sister-in-law, who is my wife, along with your nieces, my daughters, your daughters, and Natsu in the forest of death, and they will find out what happened to your wife that night she disappeared. Hisashi said, retelling the message that the survivor gave him. But why them? Is it to eat them? Kill them? The older twin questioned before crossing his arms. No matter, we will send them as this would be easy to get rid them for good. He coldly stated as he was happy to be rid of his daughters, since one's too stubborn while the other's a failure, but dismisses his youngest since she was to be married off once she became of age, but the fiancé had been reported dead, meaning that the contract is void. As his younger twin nods in agreement since he has two since his brother will use the caged bird seal marked on his head if he were to disagrees with him. Why couldn't the demon of the forest kill you as well? Hisashi thought as he couldn't do anything about this as they left to inform Tsunade of what happened here as well, leaving out the part of what the demon of the forest wanted from them. A few hours later, a group of Haika women are walking around the forest of death as one of them was very angry. "Damn that asshole," screamed a woman in her mid-20s who appears to be a younger version of Hitomi, except her purple hair was styled as a side tail, as she's wearing a jonin vest over her combat kimono, which was hugging her double-eye cup priests, as well her curvy figure as this woman is Akari Haika, the eldest daughter of Hiashi and Hitomi Haika. Next to her is her younger sister Hinata Haika, who's just entering her 20s, as she has ink blue hair styled in an asymmetrical Harem bob and pale lavender-colored eyes, as she's wearing a light lavender sleeveless kimono blouse, along with a dark purple obi tied around her waist, which shows off her ample H-cup bust and curvy hergless figure, along with a pair of navy blue short shorts, mesh thigh-high stockings, and black knee-high open-toed boots. And basically, her burrito appearance, but her the last outfit. "I'm feeling the same way," Akari Ni-san Hinata said with narrowed eyes at the mention of her father. Next was the youngest of the group as she was actually a teenager with long brown hair tied in a ponytail reaching her knees with 3 bangs, 2 framing the sides of her face, while the third hanged from the left middle of her head, as well traditional wide eyes, as she's dressed in a yellow kimono and red obi skirt around her waist, as this is Hanabi Haika. The youngest daughter as well recently graduated genin. "I still don't get why I have to come, still I have heiress duties to attend to," Hanabi said with an irritated scowl, since she has more important things to do as her older sisters sent her a sideway leer, since this involved their mother. The next Haika woman is the oldest of the group with short black hairstyle and a Harem bob, as she's wearing a jonin uniform, as it's really showing off her MILF-like body and figure as it's hugging her double J cup fleece as well a headband around her forehead, as this is Momoyo Haika, or as she likes to be called, Momo. "Why does the demon want to see us? I hope it doesn't try to kill us," she thought as her face shifted to a serious expression while clenching her hands. "If that demon tries it, I will take it down before it would even try to kill my babies," she mentally declared, turning her attention towards 2 other women. The forementioned women are twin sisters in their mid-20s as one has long dark brown hair, while the other has light brown hair, as both of them are wearing chunin vests, with the darker shade brunette wearing a white slavelle shirt underneath, while the lighter shade brunette was wearing a white long-sleeved shirt, as they both also have their headbands tied around their foreheads as these two are Isha, the dark-haired twin, and Hashi, the light-haired twin, as the older sisters of Niji, Aka their little tight-ass fate-loving brother. Why would the demon have information of Aunt Hitomi? Hisha asked as she wonders why the demon of Konoha would tell them about her missing aunt. "I have no idea," Hashi answered, wondering the same thing. Finally, walking behind them was a Haika woman with short dark green hairstyle and a Harem bob, as she's wearing a white maid apron over a full-length kimono, as well a headband around her forehead as this was Natsu, and she's wondering why she and her charge were part of this anyway, as all of them kept walking. Snap rustle. Until they hear a loud snapping rustling sound as all of them looked behind, not even knowing that they were being watched as a figure snuck behind Akari, who felt a hand pressed around her mouth as she was quickly and quietly taken away with her eyes widen in shock and fear as she was dragged into the shadows of the forest. Not seeing who or what made the sound, the group turned around only to see that Akari has vanished out of nowhere before a chain suddenly grabs Momo as it pulls her into the shadows of the forest. "Aunt Momo? Mom?" Hinata, Hanabi, Hashi, and Hisha called out in fear and worry as the cousins gathered closer towards each other as they're a bit scared now. What do we do now, Natsu? The current Haika heiress uncharacteristically stuttered as she turns towards her maid caretaker, only to see something rushing towards them from the shadows fast as it grabs hold of the green net, only for them to vanish back towards the shadows. Stealing her nerves, Hinata widened her eyes as she leaps away from her sister and cousins as a net rises up and takes all three of them upward into the dense forest canopy, leaving the blue tea by herself as she gets into the Haika clan's Taijutsu stance in order to protect herself. Show yourself and bring back my family. She fearfully demanded while trying to stay on guard but forgot her flank as Naruto, without his hood on, stalks from behind and quickly covers her eyes and leans towards her ear. You will be with them soon enough, he whispered as he hits her neck, knocking her out as he caught her unconscious body as another memory plays within his head, showing a child version of her crying as she's wearing winter clothing as well, being picked on by some older kids, but he shakes it off. Why are my memories coming back harder and foggier every time? He questioned, wondering why this was happening as he carries Hinata towards his home along with the others. After what seemed like hours, the Haika group were woken up by the sound of blades being sharpened as they rubbed their necks, releasing groans and moans as they saw that they were inside a large dark room as they go looking for the exit as Hinata opens the door only for their eyes to widen, seeing Hitomi sitting in a chair reading a book. Mother. Aunt Hitomi. Hitomi-san. Hitomi-sama. They all exclaimed as the three sisters hugged their missing mother. You're okay. Hinata cried with tears as she tightly hugs her, the Haika MILF, which surprised her as Akari does the same thing, while Hanabi pulled away and pouts since she was being squished between three pairs of overdeveloped boobs, cutting her hug short. What, you thought I was dead? Hitomi asked with a slight smirk as she puts her book down as her two eldest daughters separated with concerned looks on their faces. We thought that you've died. Because you never came back home. Both of them worriedly declared as they once again went back to hugging their mother as she smiles while her youngest angrily pouts as her attempt at hugging were once again boob blocked. Well, I am alive and I've been living here now because your father is an asshole. The busty perplexed stated as her eldest agreed. Hell, yeah he is. She declared before crossing her arms. I can never understand why you ended up with him anyway. She questioningly added, wondering how her parents even hooked up. It was an arranged marriage set up by the Haika elders Akari. Hitomi stated with a deadpan tone, by mentally grinned since Naruto told her he'd slaughtered them all, as well informing her that the family members she mentioned would be sent to the forest, which made her grin even more that she gave him a two-part reward, with the first part involving Pazuri. As four of them began talking, Momo went around to find the source of the blade sharpened, with her daughters and Natsu following behind as the sound lead them towards another room as they see a young man who seems to be the same age as Hinata as his hood was covering his head, making them unidentifiable, but what really drew their attention was that he was sharpening several blades against a grindstone wheel-like fingernails with a nail file as sparks were flying as the stone grind against the blades. Momo along with Hisha, Hashi and Natsu are shocked as the Haika MILF realizes that this teenager could very well be the demon of the forest, as she knows enough that the demon uses claws, but she didn't know that the claws are in fact his own hands and fingers as they continued watching him sharpen his claws. Come out of the shadows. He suddenly said, catching them by surprise. I know you four are there and that you have questions for me, so come on out and ask them. He added as he didn't even turn around or look back when he talked. Knowing that they've been found out, the four women entered the room. Who are you, and why are you killing people around the village? Momo demandingly asked as her daughters nodding. That's right, and why have you killed the Haika elders and have us come here? Natsu added with narrowed eyes as she activated her Byakugan, as something about this demon seems familiar to her. Ah, right to the point, I see, very well. Naruto said as he finished sharpening his claws but continued to keep his back turned. I am the demon of the forest, and the reason why I kill are either the ones that are corrupted or they try to capture me to be used as a weapon. He stated as he stood up as turned to face them, his hood overshadowing his face, while his glowing demonic eyes stared directly at them. Examples being the Uchiha clan failed coup, which Makoto-chan told me about, along with what they were planning as they needed to be dealt with, or how all of you would have been breeding stock or dead if Hitomi hadn't told me about your elders, as well me overhearing their plans for two of her daughters. He informed, shocking them with Momo, Hisha, and Hashi being horrified, while Natsu's shock and horrified expression was for a different reason. No. How could Hitomi-sama do this to the clan? The green-haired maid thought, grinding her teeth in shock and anger, wishing that her mission to poison the Haika matriarch wasn't interrupted when one of the other maids drank her tea only to die, since the perplet was originally supposed to die during childbirth. But for the others I've killed, blame them for their own stupidity, as they were fools thinking that they can attack a demon that has a shit ton of bloodlust. Well, that is well getting some long overdue retribution for the actions and crimes committed towards me when I was still human. The hooded man said as he looks over his freshly sharpened finger blades. And just who are you in truth? What's your real name? Momo demanded as Hitomi and her daughters finds them in the room, as the latter three were shocked and tense as they stared at the hooded demon, as the former just smirks. You're not asking the right question, Naruto said dismissively, wide a grin which was concealed by his hood. Fine, who were you? Hashi asked, frustrated with her hand clenched and Byakugan narrowed. Now that is the right question. The Uzumaki said with a raised finger. You must remember, humans can become demons, always have and always will when the right conditions are met. He added as he crossed his arms. Now as to who I once was, think back to when Hinata was younger and that a blonde-haired boy defended her from those bullies who made fun of her because of her eyes. He hinted as Hinata's eyes widen as she remembers that day of the boy coming to her aid as he tries to fight them as tears fell down her cheeks. No, you couldn't be him. I thought you died along with Iruka-sensei years ago. The blue tea exclaimed with her voice breaking its shock and disbelief as Naruto's clawed hands returned to normal as he pulled his hood back, revealing his face, shocking the Hikage as she realized who this man was. No, I can't be. The demon fox is alive and corrupted, Hitomi-sama. She mentally sneered, not seeing why her clansmen were killed, as she pulled out a kunai hidden in her sleeve planning the kill, who she still believes to be the Kyuubi vessel, only to suddenly be Juken struck in the back of the head by Hitomi, who catches her collapsing body before she hit the floor. That's for trying to poison me when I was pregnant with Hanabi, as well isolating her, the Hikage matriarch threateningly whispered, giving the once trusted mate a Byakugan-fueled glare before losing consciousness as she dragged her body away while the group was distracted by her new lover. Things are not always as they seem. He countered as the lavender-eyed Hikage broke out in tears, seeing the boy she idolized was alive, as well grown to be ruggedly handsome, as her face heated up with a blush. Hinata, what's wrong? Why are you acting like you found a ghost of someone you knew? Hisha asked, wondering what got her cousin so chalked up, as she just runs up to him and tightly hugs him, locking her arms and legs around his shoulders and waist, while her H-cup knockers squashed against his chest along as the reaction surprised her family members. Naruto-kun, you're alive. Hinata tearfully squealed as she tightens her legs around him as her crush suddenly puffed into smoke, dropping her onto her butt as another Naruto steps from the shadows, rubbing his waist with a slight wince. Yes, I'm alive, Hinata-chan, but I am not the same Naruto you knew before, as I am a demon now and the bloodlust I now have is not safe. He stated as he began explaining his bloodlust problem. At times it's too much to bear, as I need to constantly kill just to satisfy it. Hell, the deaths of the Hikage elders were my doing, as they were planning to brand you and your older sister with a caged bird seal and use you as breeding stock, with one of them even saying that he would do you both himself. He stated, making the women gasps upon hearing that, while Hinata's face paled with a horrified, disgusted expression, while Hanabi was turning green and gagging at the thought as Akari turned red with anger. Those assholes. The eldest sister hollered as she punched a wall, scaring her youngest sister, who hid behind the blue tea as she took deep breaths. But thank you for killing them. She thanked before walking up to him. But we never officially met. I'm Akari, Hinata's older, sexier sister, and I heard a lot of things about you, since she has this massive crush on yo. She started introductions only to be interrupted. Ni-chan. The middle sister cried out as she's blushing up a storm, causing the Uzumaki to smile a bit as Hanabi steps up. And I'm Hanabi Hikage, Ni-san's younger sister and heiress to the clan. The brunette teenager formally introduced herself with a stoic expression, now seeing the resemblances with the current Hikage head. If what you said is true, won't you feel the need to go off killing soon? She questioned, seeing this as a serious matter, as well as a chance to put her studies as heiress to the test in solving serious matters. Maybe, but my lust is also through the roof. Naruto stated with a lustful grin as the young brunette just looked at him confused. What do you mean by that? She asked, not knowing what he meant, nor noticing the blushes on her family faces. Understanding what he was talking about, understands as Hitomi steps in. There's another way to satisfy and suppress his bloodlust, and like that he won't have to go on killing rampage. The purple-haired MILF explained, startling everyone except the Uzumaki demon with her sudden appearance. By doing what exactly, mother? The Hikage heiress questioned, still out of the loop, which made her mother mentally frown, seeing that her youngest doesn't even know the birds and the bees, but that will be solved soon enough. Why, by having sex, of course. Hitomi stated with a noticeable blush and grin on her face, recalling all those times Naruto had funked her brains out, as well screwed her into pure sexual bliss, as all the other older Hikage women reacted with a blush on them, some more intense than others, as a certain Hyuga also gained a nosebleed. What? Momo exclaimed with a dark blush covering her face, while her body was uncontrollably shaking. Wait, does that mean you've done it, Hitomi-san? She questioned as her sister-in-law continues to grin as she nods. Yes, he made me his mate. The purple-haired MILF stated while her blushing face darkens remembering their first time as well every other time they funked. He's so big down there too practically twice or thrice the size of the men in our clan, she added with a slight swoon as Momo, Hashi, Hisha and Hinata are blushing badly as she notices that Naruto, Hanabi and Akari are no longer in the room before they soon hear moaning as she was smiling knowing what's going on. Oh my, first he claims me, and now he's claiming my eldest and youngest daughters, she giggled as she left to find the missing trio, while the rest of her family followed. End chapter. So this part ends here. If you want to see next part of this series, like the video now and share the story with your friends. Bye bye.